Welcome to the IDEEA podcast, a channel for the IDEEA Hospitality Investment Forum, which is an annual gathering for the hospitality investment community in Eastern Europe. Tune in to insightful conversations between the IDEEA team and hospitality investment leaders and innovators across Europe. And now, let's dive right into today's episode.
Hello everyone and welcome again to IDEEA podcast. We're running these interviews ahead of the IDEEA Hospitality Investment Forum that is taking place in Athens on September 26-27. Today I have with me one of our speakers, Daniel von Barloewen from Accor. He's head of Mixeduse for Europe, Middle East, India and Turkey. And I'm very glad to have Daniel with me. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you very much. Delighted to be here, Marina.
So Daniel, we just talked a little bit on what you do. So can you tell us, mixed use is quite big area. Can you tell us a little bit more what is your main duty?
Sure, no problem. So within Accor, mixed use, when I say Accor, that covers both the Accor brands, but also all of the brands under our lifestyle platform, Ennismore as well. So that's a total of 22 of the company's 43 brands with which we do branded residences. We have, within mixed use, probably 75% of what we cover is branded residences. The rest includes golf. So we manage a number of golf courses across the world in different continents, private member clubs, co-working, etc. But like I said, the vast majority of my time is spent looking after three aspects of branded residences: the development, the brand advisory support services to our development partners, and then also the residential operational support to the properties themselves once they're up and running.
Okay, Daniel, now you definitely have a clear overview of everything within the mixed use. So we know that developing residences, especially the branded ones, means returning the investment much faster than when investing only in a hotel property. Are there any other reasons why investors decide to build residences alongside hotel and brand them?
Sure. I mean, it varies depending on the investor profile. So for sure, you could easily say that for some it's a element of trophy, ego, prestige. For others, it's purely a financial, and for others, it's a mix between the two. Depending on which brand you're looking at or which operator, you would find that between 70 to 80% of luxury brands or luxury hotels currently in the pipeline around the world include a residential component. The percentage within the premium segment has continuously increased over the last decade, and we're also seeing a growing interest every single year in even mid-scale branded residences as well. So it's not just a luxury product offering, it's across the three. Predominantly, investors are able to sell them simultaneously with developing the hotel, so it has a significant impact on the capital stack. It makes the IRR of the project a lot more attractive, and on top of it, depending on where the project is, you also have the ability of generating further ongoing income streams by offering an optional rental program at the project.
Okay. And you just said that mostly 70% is in luxury and the rest is in other segments. So how do you see, and also I guess that most of them are in leisure, at least in this part of the world, so Southeastern Europe. But if you look overall in, let's say in Europe, do you see that it will be coming more into cities as well? Or it will just remain focused on maybe more leisure? We know that Paris, London and the key cities have them developed already, but what about other places?
So in Europe, Europe has all the features to offer a great blend between the two. Historically, branded residences started in about 2000 in the USA. The next place they started was in Southeast Asia, where it was a mix between the resort segment and city segments. and then it picked up a lot in the Middle East, led by the UAE, and in Europe as well. In Europe, like you said, predominantly resorts. That said, Istanbul and London are amongst top locations in the world for branded residences. Germany is seeing a number of projects already. You've got a couple in Austria, Italy, Spain, Portugal. So it definitely is increasing. For cities, for it to work, it needs to be a tier 1 or a tier 2 city with either very strong domestic demand from buyers and domestic wealth, or an international city which attracts international buyers as well. So as long as you can tick those boxes, then there's a huge potential for success. And it's not just in emerging markets or not just in completely established markets.
You said before that there are two main reasons. One is ego, second is financial focus. So let's a little bit talk about the financial one. Is there a percentage on how much more the residence can be sold for instead of just being unbranded?
So for things like that, we always refer our development partners to go and commission third-party studies from independent advisors who have extensive experience of looking at this, because you can't give a simple answer and pluck a number out of the air, because there are so many different variables. You have, the timing of the launch in terms of the market, the budget and the marketing strategy of the developer. Were they also more focused on the number of sales per year they could do, or the price that they were achieving on the units? So, there are many instances of identical brands, even in the same city, in the market at the same time, that were getting different premiums. What you can safely say is, a number of the major firms all consistently report an industry premium of around 31% for hotel branded residences. We've certainly seen that by doing analysis that we've commissioned of projects across different continents of our own brands, and consistently seen price premiums in those projects. But they will vary. You might get a lower price premium on some, and you'll get an extremely high price premium on others, and it will range between the brands as well. So it's not just one brand gets a higher price premium consistently than the others. It's very much sort of market specific, timing specific, and developer specific of how it's marketed at that particular time.
Okay, well, yeah, it makes sense, but okay. Regarding this part of the world, do you think that, do you see increased interest from the international or from even the local investors into mixed use and residences? And do you think that in time, or maybe even you're seeing it already, you will have the branded residences without a hotel?
Yes. So to both answers, yes. I'll tackle the second one first. We are signing an increasing number of standalone branded residences every single year. We're also seeing more demand from the domestic market in certain countries in the region as well. But historically, it's always been predominantly more international demand. But if you look at some of the projects within the region, you take the branded residences in Belgrade. They've sold to the diaspora, they've sold domestically, and they've sold to international buyers. The regions in Porto Montenegro likewise has sold to a wide range of nationalities. The Costa Navarino residences have also done the same. So it's certainly, we are seeing progressively more and more demand also from the domestic market. But it tends to predominantly in resort settings be majority led by the international market. Okay.
And if I would ask you if you would have a choice where to develop a mixed use here in the region, what would be your first, the one that you would mostly like?
So I think some of the markets, but then you sort of bring in sort of personal preferences as well of where I would have a second home. But I think anywhere that you have, like I said, a strong international buyer profile. So I would say countries like Greece, for sure. Okay. Croatia, absolutely, but it's very hard to develop in Croatia with restrictions around planning, zoning have always been historically difficult. Montenegro is a country I've personally done a lot of work in over the years, and that I love a lot. So I look forward to seeing some of the projects there develop. So those predominantly, but then at the same time you've also got markets, Poland, Serbia, those sort of offer non-resort product possibilities, and I'm convinced that those are very exciting opportunities as well for branded residential.
Daniel, you mentioned at the beginning that it's not always luxury, and there are more and more projects, mixed-use projects that are also in other market segments. When someone tells me mixed use, I also think quite often luxury. But can you tell us what is happening with this segment? Is it really, you said 70% is luxury, but do you see that the other markets are now growing and there's possibilities what the owners actually get by having a mid-scale brand, but also branded residences?
For sure, absolutely, Marina. I think historically it's been luxury, and that's why people think they have to have a luxury brand. But the market's depth is a lot bigger in terms of people's the number of people who can afford a property. As you start moving down, especially in the resort segment, it becomes critically important because people are looking at it as a second home, so they know they also want to be able to get rental income from it, and it has to make economic sense. And it's a good example of that is we were doing some recent analysis of our open and our pipeline, and 74% of our existing open branded residential network is in the luxury segment. But if we look at the pipeline of our signed deals opening over the course of the next 5 or so years, 49% of them are in the luxury segment, 41% of them are in the premium segment, and 10% of them are in the mid-scale segment. So that really shows, a strong growth in premium and mid-scale as well. And now that doesn't mean there are fewer projects being developed in luxury. Actually, we're signing every single year is another record year of signings. So we keep signing more and more deals. It's just that as a percentage of what gets signed every single year, the amount in the premium and the mid-scale segment keeps increasing, which is wonderful to see. It's diversification.
It is, and I have to say it's completely different from where you see the market growth for just hotels. It's usually mostly in the luxury segment. For some reasons, whichever hotel is now developed, at least in this region, I can tell it's 5-star or it's a high 4-star. So it sometimes feels that if you will want to go for a vacation, you'll really have to have you will only be able to choose from a luxury segment. It's actually great news to see that the branded residences are going into different direction. But now, following the Airbnb development a couple of years ago, and now more and more this part of the apartments being on for rent in different areas across Europe, and we've discussed that there are possible. It's possible to have branded residences without the hotel. So, do you think that maybe this is going to be kind of future of hospitality with the apart hotels and branded residences, where you will not necessarily have, and also the lack of stuff in hotels, that you will really have limited options for hotels, but there will be lots of options for this type of accommodation?
Well, standalone branded residences are very much a residential product. So there is one brand that we can offer which does have the ability of offering a short-term rental solution. But aside from that, the same with the other major operators. If you do a standalone residence, it's almost invariably in an urban location, and the buyers are people who will live in there year-round. Or if they're buying, then they're buying it as an investment, and they will rent it out on a 6-month, 1 year plus basis. So they're not intended for short-term rentals, and commonly with all of our peers, we have restrictions which are placed in the sales and purchase agreements and the governing documents that people sign up to, saying that I will not rent out my unit on a short-term rental basis. because, especially in a standalone, it completely devalues the quality of the offering. If you imagine it, this is your home. Let's say you do this in Athens. This is your primary home. You live here either as a tenant or as an owner. The last thing you want to see is me arriving with my 24-hour suitcase bag, checking in for a meeting in Athens. Where's the security? This is my private home. My children know the other children around here. I need to feel safe when they pop down the corridor and not have a random stranger. So that's one of the main reasons. So in standalone residences, you don't have short-term rentals. So to answer your question, it's a diversification of the hospitality offering in terms of the hospitality provision of residential management operations in standalones, but you'll still maintain hotels and co-located residences where there's a short-term program, with the exception of one brand, which I can happily talk about at the conference in a bit more detail.
Okay. And how many, you've mentioned the percentages, but how many projects overall in Europe are you developing momentarily, or you have in pipeline?
Yeah, absolutely. So within Europe at the moment, we have 13 projects in the pipeline scheduled to open over the coming years. The most advanced one in terms of next to open, so it is not in southeastern Europe, but it's actually in London. It'll be the Raffles Old War Office opening next year in London, which has seen a huge amount of spectacular press. Absolutely wonderful project, and one I definitely encourage people to go and have a look at.
Daniel, thank you so much. I would stop here just because we have 3 more weeks until the event.
Yep.
You're going to be in Greece. We're going to talk again about the mixed use and development of resorts and residences within them. And I think it's going to be very interesting to hear where you're looking to develop, what you are actually already have under development, and where Accor is going with all the brands and all the possibilities.
Sure.
So thank you so much for today, and it's going to be a pleasure to see you in Athens in 3 weeks.
I'm much looking forward to it, Marina.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the IDEEA podcast, the channel for the IDEEA Hospitality Investment Forum. You can find a full transcript of this conversation in the content library on idea-forum.com with other reports and insights. We look forward to welcoming you and your colleagues in person at IDEEA in Athens, Greece on the 26th through 27th of September 2022. If you haven't registered yet, please go to idea-forum.com to purchase your pass today and save before ticket prices increase. Please feel free to email us with any questions at hello@thebench.com. Until the next episode, stay safe and keep well. Bye-bye for now.